a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, acknowledging receipt and supporting applications for the 9% Housing Tax Credit Program and the HUD Home Investment Partnership Program with the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs. Whereas the following parties, each an applicant, propose to apply for financing for the development of the following properties, collectively the affordable housing, including low-income housing tax credits from the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs, the department, and home funds from the City of Brownsville, the city. MDS Housing, Brownsville, Bella Terra Apartments, Texas Cameron Apartments, Mallorca Villas, VDC Brownsville Reserve, Villas of Robindale, and again, they have Sage Apartments as well. Whereas in accordance with the requirements of the City of Brownsville and the Department's 2013 Qualified Allocations Plan, the QAP, the City hereby acknowledges receipt of applications for the home funding from the applicants in the following amounts. MDS Housing Brownsville, $2 million, Texas Cameron Apartments, $1.8 million, VDC not requesting funding for either of their projects. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, that the City Commission of the City of Brownsville hereby confirms its support for the development and construction of the affordable housing. The City Commission of the City of Brownsville will provide letters of support upon request to Brownsville applicants submitting an application for 9% tax credits and home investment partnership funds to the Department to develop a new multifamily development. The City Commission of the City of Brownsville agrees to consider the applicant's application for home funds from the city to support the affordable housing projects and further approve commitment of home funds to the applicant by the city, subject to the regulations and procedures of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development with respect to availability of such home funds. Adopted, approved, and accepted by the City Commission at a regular meeting there held on Tuesday, February 19, 2013. As you heard me mention, only 2 of the applicants applied for home funds, which is our HUD funds that we can subsidize their project with. VDC Brownsville Reserve has another form of subsidy. So it's up to you guys if you would like to support all 3 applicants.
Okay, I think there was some concern with perhaps maybe one applicant.
Yes.
It is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is. Mallorca Villas is Texas Cameron Apartments.
And if I understand correctly, Stephanie, after talking to legal, you can approve this with the exception and not include them
that is
in this
correct.
resolution. So,
I understand there's a petition by the surrounding neighborhood with respect to Mallorca?
That's my understanding, that there was a petition and some opposition from the surrounding neighbors.
They also have a scheduled meeting in the first week of March where they're going to be actually organizing in opposition of this.
So I would make a motion to approve with the exception of Mallorca Villas.
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Stephanie.
Item number 2, consideration and action on resolution number 2013-022, clarifying property to be donated to the University of Texas system if a downtown location is selected for a campus.
Good afternoon. You have before you the most recent incarnation of the resolution on donating property to the university should it decide to locate downtown. There are 3 parcels at issue. The first is a 21.2 acre parcel right next to Lincoln Park, and under the resolution that's before you, we would donate it. The second part of the resolution gives the university a choice of taking either Lincoln Park or a 55.5 acre parcel east of Lincoln Park. There should be a map attached to your resolutions, and the Lincoln Park is marked A, and the 55 acre part is marked B. Now, one suggestion, there's still no resolution to the issue of whether we can in fact donate a park to the university. And so one other suggestion I'd like to make is that in the second paragraph, after the first reference to Exhibit B, we put in the phrase "if legally possible." And
okay,
that way, excuse me, Mayor, and that way, if we
well,
do it, we will.
I respectfully disagree, but and you can go, I'll go on public record as doing such. I think that we have to make sure that we do it within the framework of the law. In other words, it has to be acceptable. All the principles of the law will have to be followed as always. So and because I don't think that's a misstatement of the law as far as I'm concerned. But the second thing is, there's two things. I want to make sure that it's legally acceptable. So I want that provision in the resolution to be read insofar as the land that was offered the last time when the resolution has already been passed are two different parcels, and one you've spoken to is the one, the Fish and Wildlife, and the second one was a 55-acre tract that was on the east side of the expressway. University of Texas came back to us, or to me, and said, would I consider the 47 acres that was located on the west side and presently known as Lincoln Park. So I said, subject to making sure that we have all the legal requirements done, then we will be happy to vote on that. And the second requirement would be that if in fact they choose to do the Lincoln Park, that they would be amenable, and I think the resolution has to also include that they would be amenable to paying the expenses for relocation to the choice or to a property of our choice. Hopefully within a close location of therein, but that's up to us. But subject to those two provisions and amendments, I think that's the way the resolution should read, okay?
Mayor, when you say amenable, does that mean that they would consider, or they agree?
No, they gave me their full understanding that, they would be paying for the expense of the relocation.
And,
The difference being is, and I asked the city folks to give me, there's some bleachers and some things that can be reused or moved out of there, and there's some things that can't. So the things that are affixed there too, they're going to have to recreate and pay for.
John, you're still doing your due diligence on this?
Yes,
matter?
yeah.
Okay. History does serve me correct. This came from the state. The state purchased this property for us.
No,
When,
the records that we have is that in the early 70s, we bought a 400-odd acre parcel. And these two properties are part of that 400-odd acres that we bought.
so when the state relocated what was Lincoln Park, what now serves under the expressway, when they moved under, what was it exactly that the state funded on this acreage?
I do not know.
Okay, I know for a fact that we put BCSC money into it
Yeah.
for the construction phase, but what was it? Does the state hold any kind of anything with us when they did the transfer, when they built the park for us?
Commissioner, I do not know. I have no idea.
I think I asked Chris Patterson the same questions, so he may be able to answer them for you. If you don't mind, Mr. Patterson.
The funding that was utilized for the park was state grants, bonds, and it went to the voters. Some of the funding came from voters. So the three forms of funding, they got that park done and relocated when TxDOT chose to do the expressway project, which was about 2001 or so, which we're halfway finished with these bonds.
That's correct. That was before I arrived in 2001. The park was almost completed by the time I arrived. I know that TxDOT, when they relocated the park in name and theory, they added amenities to it. They added the nature pavilion, the main pavilion. We had the old East Brownsville Little League was at the end of Elizabeth, where the rec center is now. And that was relocated to that park. It just kind of made sense because it was in the locale, same location. As far as the details asked, as far as the extra funding, I can look into that. I can do a further assessment into it. But the majority of the stuff that can be moved would be in relation to everything that's above ground. For instance, the fencing, the lighting, picnic, playground amenities. The only things in question were the actual fixed structures, the nature pavilion. There's actually 3 major facilities there, buildings. And that's the East Brownsville concession and restrooms, the nature pavilion, and the main pavilion. So other than that, I can get a more in-depth cost estimate But right now, it's been 10 years, so a lot of that stuff has kind of gone up. I can provide that for you, and I can get some more details if you'd like.
What about the teams? I'm sorry.
That's-
What
that's-
what about the teams that play there? Where are they going to be moved to? And others between 20 and 25 Little League teams that play there every year?
What I can do, the number one thing is to first address what the park is for. And mainly, I wrote some things down here. There are sporting activities. It's active and passive recreation, and also the natural activities. When we find a location, or if that's an option, we'll try to do is address those, because that's what the park is mainly there for, so we can replace those. I would hate to move something and not have an area for a baseball field. Most of the stuff, the infrastructure will probably have to be new as far as irrigation. We'll have to do a new electrical plan for whatever site we choose. But it's workable. I mean, as long as those leagues, it's only a 4 or 5 month window. They're usually starting now to pick up the teams. They start practicing.
I don't suppose, that the option is for the resolution is for them to have the option. I don't suppose it's gonna be a while before anything is utilized.
Yep. And any information you need, any of the details, I can provide that. This gives just a little bit of time to.
With respect to the baseball teams, I would wonder, since the university no longer has a baseball team, whether if there was a gap, they could maybe play on the university fields.
Well, that would be TSC.
Oh, that's TSC.
Okay. That's the only, I have found the regions and the transition teams on both sides of the fence, the TSC and the UTB, extremely helpful to accommodate, and we've been accommodating them in every sort of way, and I think that's the main thrust of the idea right here. Again, you don't know at this particular point whether they're gonna actually utilize it. They just have the options, and
Right.
it's gonna be a while before anything happens, to be honest with you.
So there's
But-
potential for grant funding to assist with the relocation until we're reimbursed by UT in the event they do choose this park?
I know there's options for grants out there, but as far as just getting you the details as far as where to put a field or potential locations, maybe
Yeah.
alternate locations.
What about the new park fund, Chris? Isn't relocating the park something that the new park fund could be used for?
I know that in the fund, it says within 2 miles of a radius of wherever that subdivided property is. For instance, there was a restaurant that went in, and any improvements made from that particular, the money that they put in had to be within 2 miles. So that part, I don't recall anything that's available that's gone up, that's a new
What about the building
construction.
of the university itself?
I think it's
No,
more
I'm
commercial.
just asking a hypothetical question. If the university builds new buildings, do they have to contribute to the new park fund?
I believe it's for commercial only. I can look into that with the planning department. But the other option is if the park was relocated, if it was relocated in an area of the 2 miles. That's kind of why I brought that
So
up.
we're a ways.
But you could certainly come to 4B for funding
Right.
in CDBG as well.
That'll all be determined in the location, and we can put all that together and get with those departments.
Okay. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay. And then I have on the resolution on item 3, I'm not trying to be cantankerous, Mayor, I just
No,
have
of
some
course not.
clarifications.
Sure.
But on 3, I would like to include, if the city commission approves, some language that says, at the very end of it, where it says, execute any documents necessary or appropriate to the closing of this transaction, which allows the city manager, deputy city manager, and assistant city manager to execute those documents. I want to include on there, excluding any documents that differ or contain conflicting information as agreed upon in said resolution. Such documents would require city commission approval.
Whatever you want. I mean, that's got to be an amendment to the resolution, or it can be included as the original, but again, in a sense, you're the good Lord giveth and the good Lord taketh away. You'll have to come back for another approval. So, I think what has to happen here is we're going to have to go to a certain degree and say, you have the option. Now you can bring back all the terms, etc., which I think you'll find will be favorable. But if we have to go through another approval, then we're not doing much today.
Mayor, the language in paragraph 3 is what I generally use on real estate deals, because, you know, you all approve the parameters of the deal, the price and this, that, and the other thing. Then in terms of the paperwork, we don't bring that back to you because the paperwork reflects what you all have decided.
No, I understand. I mean, that's the standard, you know, language that we generally put in there. But it's up to the commission.
That's just my concern, Mayor. I would hate to have the city manager or any other administration approve some transactions or documents that reflect information that's not what we agreed upon. I mean, that's the only thing I'm concerned about.
I think they would have to be violating their oath of office if as lawyers. Well, and again, I take it back. City manager, deputy city, or assistant city manager would not necessarily be lawyers, but I don't. But again, I don't want to speak out of turn either. But I don't think the city attorneys would give them something that wasn't appropriate in the resolution.
I'm satisfied with the 2 caveats. One was that it would be subject to all legal requirements being met, which is what you suggested. And then 2, that the university would be amenable to paying the expenses of the relocation. I think that pretty much solves any potential problems we might have.
And you can bring all the, in other words, I think what the university, or what we would, at least I see what they need to look at, and TSC as well, is to see what is available and what options are available to them. And again, I think we have to probably subject to, again, to make sure that we get fully compensated for the relocation. And that would have to be in the resolution, and it also have to meet all the legal requirements. Both of those things have to happen. And if, you know, but again, we don't have a motion before this body at this point.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Well, now, let me make sure. Was that with her language, that we have to come back for approval, or without the language?
No, without the language.
Without the language? Okay.
Okay, Mayor, I'm going to, just for my clarification, the 2 changes that you proposed were part of your motion, correct?
With those changes.
Yeah, with those 2. It has to abide by all the legal requirements.
Correct.
And it has to be, you know, we have to have compensation for any relocation. And I have a motion to that effect, without the language that was proposed by Commissioner Somewhat.
I'm willing to support it with that language.
And that's fine.
I feel more comfortable with that.
Okay, that's good. But I have a motion and a second. Do I have a vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye. Do we have a?
Just as long as we make it very clear that this is, you know, I'm the one that's catching the slack for it. I'm the one that's catching the slack that, you know, my area, my people are going to be losing their park, and if I'm going to make this kind of a decision, you know, they need to step up, and they need to come clear with what they're promising.
Okay. Well, we'll get that done for you.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Motion carries.
Is that the last item?
Public comment?
Comment.
Okay. It's your turn.
Want to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.